Why would a woman who truly desires you suddenly start becoming distant? Why would she begin to ignore your messages, push you away, or act cold right at the point when things appear to be getting serious? Today we're diving into this because what many men don't recognize is this. When a woman pulls away, it's not always due to a loss of interest. Sometimes it's because she's falling for you harder than she ever expected. And instead of moving closer, she withdraws. Not because she doesn't want you, but because she's terrified of how deeply she actually does. It sounds backward, doesn't it? But this is one of the most overlooked truths in modern relationships, and it's quietly destroying powerful connections every single day. Most men interpret a woman's distance at face value. She stops calling, so they assume she must not care. She becomes emotionally unavailable, so they suspect she's talking to someone else. But here's the twist. What if her pulling away is actually a sign that she's emotionally overwhelmed? Many women, especially those who've been hurt in the past or who silently battle with vulnerability, will subconsciously test a man once things start to feel real. They desire closeness, yet fear tells them to push it away. They crave connection, but have been conditioned to stay guarded. So when those deeper feelings begin to rise, they panic. And here's where a lot of men make their biggest mistake. They chase, they plead, they demand answers. But that kind of energy only confirms her fear. That closeness leads to pressure, and love leads to loss of control. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why women distance themselves from the very men they want most, how to spot the signs, and what to do instead of reacting from emotion. Because once you understand what's really going on, you'll stop getting stuck in confusion and start navigating it like a man who knows exactly what he's doing. Now let's talk about why she's pulling away. Number 1, she's afraid of losing control. When a woman starts catching real feelings she can't fully explain or manage, something inside her shifts. Not fear of you, but fear of losing control over herself. The moment she realizes you matter more than she thought you would, her instinct might tell her to step back. Many women have been conditioned to emotionally protect themselves. They've learned, either through life or through heartbreak, that falling too hard leaves them vulnerable. So when she notices herself slipping, thinking about you too much, caring what you think, wondering if you'll stick around, she pulls back. This isn't because you've done something wrong. Sometimes it's actually happening because you're doing everything right. You're showing up, you're consistent, you're making her feel safe, but that stability triggers the very fear she's been trying to avoid, the fear of getting attached. For her, control equals safety. And when she starts to want you more than she planned, it feels like she's handing you the power to hurt her. That's why she retreats, not because she doesn't care, but because she's trying to protect herself from caring more than she already does. You might have seen this before. You're texting a woman, things are going smoothly, the energy is solid, and then out of nowhere, she goes quiet. Shorter replies, hours or days between texts. You're confused. Nothing changed on your end. But if you understand what's really happening, it starts to make sense. She's not rejecting you. She's trying to create emotional balance by stepping back. She's afraid of how deep it's getting. So she regains control the only way she knows how, by distancing herself. And here's where most men go wrong. They react. They chase, ask questions, or show frustration. But that only reinforces her fears. That closeness equals pressure. The man who truly understands this, he doesn't chase. He doesn't flinch. He holds his frame and stays grounded in the same calm energy he brought before. That's what makes her feel safe again. Because once she sees you're not trying to control her, and that you remain steady even when she pulls away, she'll come back. Not because you begged, but because you didn't. Number 2, too much emotion can scare her. A lot of men think that once a woman feels love, desire, or emotional attachment, the connection will naturally deepen. But here's the complicated part. Sometimes, the more emotion she feels, the more unstable she becomes. Not because she doesn't want those feelings, but because they overwhelm her. On the surface, we assume women are more emotionally open, and to some extent that's true. But underneath, many women have less emotional stability than you'd expect, especially when the feelings become intense. When it's just flirting, Surface level attention, she's in control. But once things go deeper, she loses that control. And with it comes fear. The fear that now you hold the emotional power to hurt her. Real emotion brings vulnerability. It's no longer just a game. She's invested, and that means she can get seriously hurt. This emotional risk terrifies many women, especially those with past betrayals, heartbreak, or relationships where they never felt fully safe. So instead of leaning in, they pull away. Not because they don't feel the connection, but because they feel it too deeply. It's a defense mechanism. Often, even she doesn't fully realize what's happening. She'll tell herself she's too busy, or maybe that you're too available. She creates distance not because something is wrong, but because she's overwhelmed by what's right. And here's where men often fail. If you respond emotionally, getting anxious, upset, or overly eager, you make her storm even worse. Now both of you are unstable. But what she truly needs is your steadiness, not your fear. Men who don't understand this take it personally. They think her retreat means she never really cared. But if you've ever had a woman open up deeply, then suddenly pull back, you know this isn't fake, it's real. It's the war between what she desires and what she fears. Remember, the more emotional she gets, the more calm you must remain. That calm isn't indifference, it's leadership. It shows her that her emotions are safe with you, that she can feel deeply without everything falling apart. When you give her that steady emotional space, she doesn't fear her feelings anymore. She embraces them. And that's where the connection shifts. Number 3, she's testing your strength. At some point in nearly every connection, there comes a shift. Everything's clicking, great vibe, strong chemistry, and then suddenly she starts behaving differently. Distant, cold, confusing. Most men assume something must have gone wrong, but what they don't realize is that more often than not, this shift is actually a test. And no, it's not random. Women don't just want attraction, they want to feel secure inside that attraction. And the only way she knows she's truly safe is by seeing how you respond when she's at her most uncertain, emotional, and unpredictable. That's when she silently watches. She may not even be doing it on purpose, but her deeper instinct is observing. Can this man handle it when I pull away? Will he stay grounded when I stop giving him what he wants? Will he hold his frame or fold under pressure? This is how women separate the men they like from the men they'll fully trust and emotionally surrender to. A woman who feels strongly but hasn't yet decided if you're safe will create tension. She'll bring emotional friction to see what you do, not when it's easy, but when the energy changes. That's where your real strength shows, not through aggression or dominance, but emotional control. When she throws silence, mood swings, or mixed signals your way, your reaction either confirms your strength or exposes your insecurity. And most men fail this test without even realizing it. They become needy, try to explain themselves, or start chasing harder. All that does is confirm what she feared, that he's not the man she thought he was. But if you stay calm, no begging, no arguing, no over-explaining, you send a powerful message. I don't need your behavior to validate my value. And that's the exact power she's unconsciously looking for. This kind of test isn't something you can skip or avoid. It's built into the dynamic. Every high-value woman who feels deeply will test. Not to break you, but to see if you can't be broken. Because once she sees you can handle her chaos without losing your clarity, she starts trusting you in a way most men never get to experience. Number 4, her past trauma might be running the show. You may believe you're dealing with the woman in front of you, but sometimes what you're really facing are all the parts of her that haven't yet healed. Her distance, her cold reactions, they're not always about you. Often they're about the emotional wounds she's still carrying. What most men don't understand is how deeply a woman's past can shape her response to love. If she's been cheated on, lied to, used, or even emotionally neglected, those experiences don't just vanish. They stick with her. They rewire how she views connection. Even if she likes you, even if she wants something real, her trauma can hijack the relationship. And here's where things get difficult. She can feel both drawn to you and unsafe with you. One part wants to lean in, while another part is on high alert. When everything feels too good, her mind might say, "This is too familiar. I've been burned before." So what does she do? She pulls back. She shuts down emotionally. She convinces herself not to trust what she feels, because last time, feelings got her hurt, so she distances herself. Not because you did anything wrong, but because her survival instincts are telling her to close the door before it gets slammed in her face again. If you're unaware of this, you'll take it personally. You'll think she's flaky or losing interest. But what she's actually doing is protecting herself from a pain she's already felt before. This is where many men lose control. They try to talk her out of her pain. They try to fix it. But that's not your job. You're not her therapist. Your role is to remain steady. When her emotions are out of balance, your stability becomes her grounding point. Your calm energy shows her that not every man will hurt her. But she has to see that on her own. You can't convince her with speeches. You show it by staying emotionally grounded, especially when she's not. When you realize you're interacting with both the woman and her unhealed history, you stop taking her reactions so personally. You stop trying to fix her and instead lead with presence and patience. Trauma doesn't heal with pressure. It heals when the chaos stops and peace begins. Number 5. For some women, closeness feels like danger. To most men, emotional intimacy feels like progress. You connect, you bond, you go deeper. It feels like things are moving forward. But for some women, that exact moment triggers a silent alarm. It's not because something's wrong, it's because getting close means being seen. And for a woman who's been hiding parts of herself for years, that can feel terrifying. The closer she gets, the more exposed she feels. Not just the confident, polished version of herself, but the insecure, uncertain side she's been keeping guarded. And if her past or upbringing taught her that vulnerability leads to pain or rejection, then intimacy doesn't feel like connection. It feels like risk. You might be spending more time together, sharing deeper conversations, having consistency with no drama, and then just when you think the relationship is deepening, she starts to back away. She texts less, seems emotionally off, maybe even says she needs space. It doesn't make sense on the surface, but to her, that emotional intimacy feels like you're getting too close to the parts of her she's not ready to reveal. She starts to panic, because once you're inside emotionally, you have the power to hurt her more deeply than anyone else ever could. That's why closeness doesn't always feel safe. It feels dangerous. Not because of you, but because of what she's still afraid of. This is where you have to be sharp. You can't afford to get reactive, needy, or confused. You have to recognize that her withdrawal isn't rejection, it's resistance. It's her pulling back from the emotional exposure she secretly craves, but fears. And the worst thing you can do is panic, chase, or try to force clarity. That only heightens her anxiety. But if you hold your ground, if you stay calm, give her space without making it about you, she'll feel that shift in energy. She'll recognize you're not just another man trying to control or fix her emotions. You're someone who can hold space for them. That's what brings her back. Not guilt, not manipulation, but trust. Number 6. She wants reassurance, but she won't ask for it. One thing a lot of men never realize is this. A woman may push you away, not because she wants to end things, but because deep down she's craving reassurance and doesn't know how to ask for it. Not because she doesn't need it, she absolutely does, but because asking would mean admitting vulnerability. And that scares her more than you might think. Most women have this internal conflict with emotional dependence. They want to feel chosen, desired, and secure. But they've been taught not to need a man to feel that way. So rather than directly asking for reassurance, they create subtle emotional tension. Not as a game, but as a form of emotional self-protection. She's silently wondering, if I stop being sweet, will he still show up? If I pull away just a little, will he stay grounded or lose it? If I don't spell it out, will he still understand what I need? This creates a kind of emotional tug-of-war inside her. And if you're unaware of what's really going on, her behavior will seem confusing. One minute, she's into you. The next, she's distant. You're left second-guessing every move, wondering what changed. But in reality, all she's looking for is to feel secure in your presence, without having to beg for that security. She doesn't want your attention only when she's giving you her best. She wants to know that you'll still show up when she's off emotionally, that you're not just there for the easy moments, but for the uncertain ones too. That's what provides her with the deep reassurance she's too afraid to directly ask for. But here's the tricky part. She won't come out and say, "I feel insecure and need to know you won't leave." Instead, she'll act distracted, distant, disconnected, just to see what you'll do. And this is where most men unravel. They assume she's over it, panic, or overcompensate. They chase, argue, or try to pull her back emotionally. But that only confirms her worst fear, that emotional closeness always comes with instability. What she really needs from you in that moment isn't effort, it's consistency. When you stay emotionally grounded, when you don't take her silence personally or spiral into insecurity, she senses it. She feels your calm presence. She recognizes that you're not just reacting, you're steady. And that's what gives her the very reassurance she was searching for all along. Not through your words, but through your energy. Number 7, your reaction determines everything. This is where all of it comes together. You can't control her emotions. You can't force her to stay connected or keep texting. But what you can control, what truly changes the entire dynamic, is how you respond. Your reaction in the face of her emotional shift is what makes or breaks the connection. Too many men crumble the moment a woman starts pulling away. Her replies slow down, they flood her phone. She says she needs space. They panic, beg, or try to reason. She gets cold, they get desperate. And what they don't realize is, this is the exact moment she's watching the most. She's not looking for your perfect words. She's feeling your energy. She wants to see if you'll stay rooted or if you'll spiral. This is where most men show emotional weakness, not by what they say, but through how quickly they lose their balance. A woman senses that shift instantly. The moment she realizes she can control your behavior with hers, the dynamic is gone. She can't trust a man she can easily shake, and if she can't trust you emotionally, she'll never fully let go into the relationship. Men need to wake up to this truth. We've been conditioned to respond emotionally instead of lead emotionally. To think love is about fixing every moment of discomfort. To believe showing you care means chasing or reacting. But real strength doesn't show in reaction, it shows in restraint. When she pulls away, you don't chase, you go still. When she gets cold, you remain warm but grounded. When she tests you emotionally, you don't flinch. That doesn't mean being distant or robotic. It means you lead with calm awareness instead of reacting from panic. A man's strength in a relationship isn't about controlling her, it's about mastering himself. And that's where most men lose the women they actually had a chance with. Not because she stopped caring, but because he stopped being the man she first respected. Steady, centered, unshakable. Here's the raw truth most men are too afraid to admit. A woman's love doesn't always look like love. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it shows up as emotional distance or confusing behavior. But underneath that, she's watching, hoping you'll respond like the man she can finally trust with her heart, even when she's making it hard. And here's the most controversial part. If she can break you emotionally, she can never fully love you. Not because she's manipulative or cruel, but because she needs to feel your strength when hers is falling apart. She needs to know she can unravel without you unraveling too. That's where true respect is born. And without respect, no love can last. So I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this kind of emotional shift from a woman right when things were getting real? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and I respond. This channel isn't just about tips, it's about helping men build real strength, clarity, and emotional control in a world that often leaves us confused and reactive. You're not alone. Stay tapped into this space, and I'll keep showing you how to rise above emotional chaos and lead with calm, power, and confidence. Comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.